Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. Coming to you from our studio up here on Vet, straight upstairs from Matt Bauer's new pre-owned headquarters. Make sure you check them out here. Buy a great pre-owned car, going to get great price, great customer service, and you will find the same setup at all of his dealerships throughout the region. So if you're looking for a new car, he's got you covered pretty much any type of car you want. Make sure you go check out Matt, the home of the lifetime warranty. All right, our first topic today is presented by Shough Insurance. The Saints have a new quarterback, maybe a new starting quarterback. Tyler Shough was drafted with the 40th overall pick. Kind of the headliner of the draft immediately if you take a quarterback that high. What does it mean for the future of the Saints?
Can't wait to find out. We got some words from Derek Carr's brother, David, a little bit from Derek, and the Saints have yet to give any final. I mean, I just hope we're not going through this whole offseason like he's rehabbing, he might come back. I want to know. I want to know if Derek Carr is the quarterback and they're developing Shough this year, or if we are going into OTAs, minicamp as competition, Shough versus Rattler. And that's my guess, but I mean, it's such a weird situation that we don't know for sure. But let's assume that Derek Carr either is not on the Saints or has surgery. In either scenario, it's Shough versus Rattler. I think they will treat it, at least in these summer months, as an open competition, as a your day, kind of like what we saw with Rattler and Haener last year for the backup job. But Shough's got to be the guy to beat, being picked 40th, right? I mean, this is essentially a first-round pick, almost a first-round pick. It's the highest the Saints have taken a quarterback in over 50 years. Even though we didn't see him on draft rankings that high early in the process, your reporting, national reporting, started to catch up later that he was seen no different than how the Giants see Jackson Dart or whatever. I think he should be looked at the exact same way. This is a guy to beat, I think.
Let's start. Like the draft ranking thing, it's so funny to me when it's like, if it's a player people want, it's like, well, that's a pick. They got a great value on him. If it's a player they don't want, it's a reach. But like, if it's the quarterback people think is going third and he goes 141 picks later, doesn't that tell you that the draft rankings are kind of like,
you know who else does draft rankings?
You know what I mean?
Jeff Ireland and the Saints scouting department that has been going to these colleges.
So that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Look, if it's the right pick, it's the right pick. If it's the wrong pick, it's the wrong pick. Everything's going to be judged on its own merit. If you drafted the 9th guy in the 9th spot and he doesn't hit, it's the same type of a miss as if you draft, it doesn't matter. You could draft someone that people think are lower on and you end up being right. The thing with the quarterback stuff is nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. Everybody's wrong all the time. Once in a while, people are right, and you're just hoping that if you're a team picking, you hope you're right. The easiest and smartest thing to do in the world, doesn't matter what pick it is, but especially when it's outside of the first round, is say this guy isn't going to make it, because they don't make it. They literally do not make it. There's Jalen Hurts and a bunch of Aiden O'Connells. Like, really, that's what it ends up being. So if you're gonna make a bet against it, because it probably won't work. Odds tell you, history tells you, but every now and then there's an outlier, and you're hoping that Kellen Moore has the ability to identify one of those outliers, and he ends up being the guy who's right. Me personally, I would have bypassed on this whole entire quarterback class. Wasn't a single one of them that I would have wanted to place my bet on. I would have bet on Cam Ward if I had the number 1 pick, but trading up for it, like, I don't know that I'm betting my franchise on him in that regard. So I would have bypassed on all of them, but I think if you actually sit down and you just watch this player play, there are things to say like, okay, that makes sense to bet on it. Like, it's not an outrageous bet. I think the 10% of it that's bad could end up being what defines the whole 100. So I think he has to figure out how to play better under pressure. I think he has to figure out how to stand in the pocket and not be afraid of taking a hit. There's times when you watch him, and this might be an incredibly lazy and unfair statement, but there are times when you watch him, when you have the knowledge of 2 broken clavicles and a broken leg, that you see him react to things, and you see the 2 broken clavicles in the broken leg, and you wonder, is this like a reaction to that? It's totally possible, though, that they told him, hey, protect yourself, don't get hit, throw the ball away. But there were 31 throwaways last year, almost 8% of his throws, 26 of them are under pressure. Like, that isn't necessarily what you want to see, but like the stuff that bothered me more would be like a throw down the field. And, I think the thing, if you ask me, what does Spencer Rattler do that's great? His number 1 trait, what's his best thing? I would say it's his willingness to stand in a pocket with kind of like his body fully like stretched, like hits a throw, it just stands there. and is willing to like go through it and just take the whole hit. Like, I think that is the thing Rattler does better than a lot of people I've seen, is just like that fearlessness to just fully be like extended and exposed to a hit and just stand in there and take it and know he's going to take it and still execute the throw. Like sometimes you'll see, and look, there's times Shough does that, but there's times where you see him throw the ball and kind of turn his back. Like instead of like falling and then it's short armed and it gets picked off. And like, these are the things that I think you need to see him do a whole lot better. But man, there's stuff that's really good. Like he has a really, really good arm. And I think the arm in and of itself gives you a chance to start games at some point during your career. Someone's going to say, okay, this guy needs to start a game. Let's see what he can do. I think that's really good. I think that he has pretty good accuracy. When you go back to his previous stops, like they didn't have design runs and have him run the ball a lot at Louisville. When you add that in, like, man, there's some really, really good stuff there. Again, my bet would have been on next year's class. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that every time we talk about him going forward. Like from this point on, if you want to try to act like we're saying something we aren't or whatever, like it's the dumbest thing in the world that the team drafts a quarterback and you have to like, oh, I got to preface everything because like Twitter, like screw all that. Like, no, like I think there's stuff that he does good and I think he has a chance and I don't think it's an insane bet. But I think when you're picking a quarterback 40th, well, I think when you're picking a quarterback 20th or beyond, the odds of him hitting are very, very slim.
Yep.
You just hope that Kellen Moore and Nussmeier see something everybody else doesn't.
Well, because of everything you said, and I agree. I mean, look, I think the Saints were genuinely convinced on this guy. This is an organization that has proven to us that they don't throw these picks. They're willing to pass on this class. They are not the Green Bay Packers under Ted Thompson, who's like, we do this every year, or even the Patriots during some of the Tom Brady years. I think this guy broke through for them. But yeah, the history of it says, we were talking about this the other day. I wrote an article that lists every second round pick of the century. This is a rare thing, a second-round pick. Either you're convinced on a guy and you take him in round 1, or he falls to round 5 and 6. Very few guys actually get drafted in round 2.
Let's talk about that a little bit, though. Yeah. Like, I think A, it's a weak class, and B, there just weren't a lot of spots for him, and then C, Shough was just falling. Like, I just don't think there were a lot of spots for quarterbacks this year. Pittsburgh clearly has Rodgers in the talk, so they're off the board. The Giants went for Dart, so it was kind of Cleveland or the Saints. Cleveland didn't seem, to feel that Shough was the guy for them. The Saints didn't feel like Shough was the guy for them. So then it's just kind of, you're waiting to get him. I think when LA dropped out of 26, like that made it very, very likely that Shough was going to be there at 40. The danger was LA trading up for him. They were a team that wanted him. I just don't think they wanted him bad enough to take him in the first round. They drop out of the first round. I think you're in a very good position to get him where you want him. Then you can kind of play it that way, especially once the Giants jumped up to take Dart. I think that kind of cleared it out, and it's like, all right, then Atlanta makes that insane trade, so you're not the value of the back half of the first round. I think really gets put there. But look, I like that they liked him. He's on the team now. I like that they liked him. I like that they had conviction in him. I like that they saw someone that they feel like can be their obviously their starting quarterback. You don't pick someone there if you don't think that. Kellen Moore likes him. He went through the process. He thinks this is the guy. There are a lot of ways it could work. There's a lot of ways it couldn't. I think moving forward, though, like the shock and awe of it and that, like, man, that's so uninteresting to me. Like, it's how does this work now? I think that's what the conversation has to be. And I think clearly you got to protect them. I think they have a pretty solid group of players now up front, probably more investment than most teams. If Kelvin Banks doesn't elevate your line, that's the big issue here. Kidding. Like that's a massive issue then. I think you have a way to get Penning on the field. I think if you could kind of protect him in the way that Goff gets protected or the way Kirk Cousins gets protected, those seasons where it's right, those guys can really shine. I think that's kind of similar to this individual. If you can do that, I think he can kind of do a lot for you. He's good outside of the pocket. Like, he can move. He does have athleticism. He can throw off platform. He can move on, throw while running. It's one of the things where it's kind of like, damn, like how are you able to do that? But then like some of these plays, you're afraid. Like, so I think if you could find a way to just even get it to the middle, like, I don't even think you got to like fix it. Just get that somewhere in the middle. I think there's a way to be good with him at that position. There's just a lot that he commands the line of scrimmage. He's a quarterback in college that you see running play action. Like, you could go through some guys entire season and not find a snap where they're under center.
Yeah,
so,
it was a good move for him to go to Louisville last year. Like we talk about the transfers that he made. Oregon for 3 years, then Texas Tech for 3 years, thinking he was probably going to go there for 1 year and get drafted. And it's funny, he probably strategically picked Texas Tech because, I mean, at the time that was a positive. They throw the ball all over the field, but then he had the injuries there, and then he picked Louisville. He's like, I want to get drafted. I want to go play in a pro-style system that shows what a quarterback does in the NFL and make those checks at the line of scrimmage. So it was a really smart offense for him to seek out and then to actually show this is what I could look like in the pros. So even though we talk about, you know, what college football is like nowadays and how people leave all the time and try to find a better situation, he was doing it for a very specific reason. I think that worked out for him really well.
Yeah, like, and I think he can run a whole lot more than he did last year. There's an interview he did with McShay at the Combine where he was kind of talking about how they just told him, like, don't do it. But, like, if you go back to his previous stops, you see a lot of it. You do have to wonder, though, like, is that an injury thing? Like, is it?
Well, that's what Jeff Brom said when we talked to him during the draft is that partly they didn't want him to run the ball because that's how he was getting hurt at Texas Tech, was running the ball. And it was not the kind of injuries – nobody's worried about the injuries now. It was a broken collarbone that he never had surgery on, so it re-broke, and then it was a broken leg when he got rolled over. Broken bones heal, and they're not like, oh, he's got this leg that breaks all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, but that did happen when he was running the ball more at Texas Tech.
He said that he kind of learned to just get the first down and stop at that point, do it like that. Oregon had a lot of designed runs, though, and I know, like, Kellen likes the RPO stuff. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
If he runs with kind of that, you know, maturity and intelligence to, like, hey, look, I don't want to get hurt. I think it's a good thing. He was saying in that interview, he kind of played with the play style where it was like, I'm going to run over these linebackers and I'm going to get the crowd going and I'm going to get the sideline going. And he's like, I just realized I was, like, really dumb. Like, it's a dumb way to play. And, you know, I think Jackson Dart's someone that needs to figure out how to rein that in a little bit too. But I would rather have a guy that's doing it and I got to pull it in a little bit and get to that place. So hopefully Shough can just get it back and play with that style and they add it in. If you tell me he can run the ball, like, we got a clip on our website in the film study article. It's like a 5-minute clip of, like, him just these runs he has. If you tell me you can add that to what he's doing, the math becomes a little bit different for me. Like, I like that math better than just the playing from the pocket, kind of going side to side. Like, if you're telling me that he can, like, this is a duo 4.6 speed. Like, that is legitimate speed, especially at that position. But even without it, like, I think if you can just do it a little bit, it changes the way people can defend you. Because what they do is, like, if they don't trust your legs at all, every single snap, you're going to go out there, you're going to see two guys sitting deep. No one's coming down to respect the legs. They're going to zone you. Like, if you can't do anything to just take advantage, like that's what Rattler would do, is like, all right, they're sitting back deep. I got this. I'm going. Like, if you can do that, it changes the way people defend against you. It takes away, you know, kind of that suffocation. And now all of a sudden you're hitting a play action or something. You get them caught with one safety back there and you got an explosive play. Your quarterback in 2025 has to do something to get that other safety to move. I think he can do it. So I think that's a benefit. It's these bad plays, man. Like, that's it. And I think the thing that hurts for him is when he makes a bad play, it's like almost comically bad at times. And you know, that's what he has to get rid of. He's got to get rid of some of that stuff. But I think he has a chance. And look, I don't care if this was a quarterback you were betting on, I was betting on, someone else was betting on. I don't care that I wanted to look to next year. I don't care what anybody wanted to do. All of a sudden, get past the shock and awe of it. Like, he's on the team. Get past your own evaluation. He's on the team. All of a sudden, you have a guy that was a great college quarterback, was a quarterback's coach, was a very good offensive coordinator, is now a head coach. He went and picked his quarterback. That quarterback is here with significant draft capital. You're starting an offense from zero scratch. It is incredibly interesting now. This is an interesting storyline. Like, I could ask for a recasting, but man, the script is like, this is way better than old ass dude gets brought in, try to make it work, let it go. oh, they traded for Sam Howell. He's going to start. He's going to suck. Let it go. Like, this is start from scratch, ground zero, offense built around former great college quarterbacks, handpicked quarterback. Man, I'm excited. Like, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about perception. And I was starting to make this point with how rare it is for a quarterback to be drafted in the second round. And it's happened less than once a year over the last, 16, 17 years. Some of the successes are Derek Carr and Andy Dalton, funny enough. Jalen Hurts obviously being the best one. But it's one of those weird things that if they had traded up to get him in round one, then I'd be super skeptical. I'd be like, man, now you put so much into this guy. But it's the exact opposite. If they had gotten him in round 3 or 4, where they've been drafting Garrett Grayson and Jake Haener and Ian Book, then you'd be really excited. You'd be like, oh, this guy seems way better than those other third rounders. He's in this weird limbo of did he deserve to be picked? Well, look, if you would have liked the pick at 71, then embrace it at 40. 40 is not setting your franchise back. Yes, of course, there's some really good players drafted around 40 that I wanted the Saints to take, that I know a lot of fans watching the draft want him to take. But that is worth taking a shot on a guy if you really believe him. If everyone watching this from the outside had the same conviction that Kellen Moore has on this guy, they would have run to take him at 40. That is not too much to pay for a guy you believe has a chance at this. So do I bet on him succeeding? Like I said, I think the best case scenario is maybe they find their version of Derek Carr for the Raiders, Andy Dalton for the Bengals, but he could be better than that too. Could be better than that too.
Look, here's the thing. You should short every single quarterback that comes into the NFL.
Yeah.
If there was a way to short their stock and
even
make
the
money
guys
off
picked
it.
in round
all of them, every single one. The first pick to pick 253 or whatever the hell it is every year now. Just say no, and they're all 90% of them are going to miss. Yeah, and really, even the guys in the first round, it's a 50-50 proposition. So you add that in with the rest. Most of the time, you're going to be right. And if you're a person that wants to be able to sit back and go, I told you so, those idiots, you're going to be right most of the time. So. Do it, and you can grandstand or whatever, and congratulations. You are going to be right most of the time, and that is the sound bet. And my bet's against, because it should be against. That's just what math tells you. I can't bet against math, but there are things about him when you watch him. It's I understand this. It's not a crazy bet. He could hit.
Quick question for you, since you've done the film studies. If you can even do this, if you can pretend your mind wasn't warped by pre-draft analysis, pre-draft rankings, any of that stuff, and it's 2 different years, and this is a much worse draft class. Last year, Spencer Rattler was the 7th guy drafted. Spencer Rattler's college tape coming into the league, Tyler Shough's college tape coming into the league. Is this guy a way better prospect?
Yeah, look, man, the thing is, the league the Saints just told you he is. I don't have to tell you that. They drafted him at 40. They drafted the other guy in the 5th round.
Yeah.
The Saints told you that. They're telling you that. That's what they believe. Look, the thing with Shough is, if you could just take everything off, and he was 21 years old and didn't have all these injuries, and he just had the season he had, and you place all the 4 seasons just in a 4-season window, and you'd be like, man, NIL, some weird stuff happened, whatever. But he put it together at the end, and he goes, he's a top 10 pick. The problem is that he's going to be 26 basically on opening day, and it's kind of hard to factor that in. You see the 7-year career. There's all this weird stuff that happened, and then the little things that are wrong. It's kind of hard to say well, he's definitely going to get better at this because he's already going to be 26. So you don't know what the development window is. It isn't. He's a young player. He's an older player at this point, where those flaws kind of feel like they're going to be a little bit stickier than maybe they would be with someone where you're like, well, man, he gets some good coaching, and this stuff's all going to turn around for him. But then it's also, I was sitting there wondering if I was being a hypocrite about how I thought about that, because he's exactly 1 year older than Rattler.
Yeah.
And at no point have I looked at Rattler and I'm like, man, he's too old to get better.
I know.
So I don't know, but I know this is their bet. There's a few, look, I'm okay swinging at 40 and missing if you believe in it. I'm okay swinging at 9 and missing if you believe in it. I know they believe in this. I've known they believed in it for a while. If people just listen, I feel like this is the loudest pick spoiling ever. If people had just listened.
Told my 13-year-old son, man, who is Tyler Shough? And I go, if you read what Dad rights or watched our shows, you would have known for a month.
It was like left the combine and it was like, oh, the Shough dude, huh? Like that was it. Like this is the guy they're gonna pick. And then it was kind of like, wait a minute, like I don't think Shough is a real prospect for them. Like, so like that was just kind of it. And it was very loud and like we could have, I don't know. I really believed they were gonna pick him, and then they did. Like everything we had heard, everything we said. Anyways, though, but if you believe in it, I'm cool with it. You miss at 40, fine, whatever. Like. It's a bad like you don't want to miss on anyone. Don't want it's an opportunity lost. But if they're just randomly making a pick at 40 and they don't believe in it, that's where I have a problem with it. It's like we believe in this guy, got it wrong. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then I understand your process. Logically, I can get there. Still could be. Then we just talk about is the process bad and how do you change it and all that stuff. But look, it's a position where I think you have to try. You have to try to be a little bit of aggressive. I'm okay with it. If they miss on it, I just hope they admit a quick loss, like if you get to December and you're like, there is no chance on this guy, just move on and then make the pick next year. Take Little Nustenmeyer, take Archie, take Drew Aller, take Lenore Sellers, take Klubnik, like whoever it is. Klubnik might actually end up being the one that's at the top, kind of based on how people are talking about him right now. But whoever it is,
I like next year's class.
Yeah, whoever it is, just be ready to move on if you missed.
Arch might be 2 years from now, which might work out perfect.
Yeah,
and that would be the time when for sure you missed.
And every indication we got is that they really believe this guy can be the guy. But if he's not, just cut your losses.
Extra home run grand slam if you find the guy at 40.
Yeah,
and that's all the draft capital you had to use on it. It's like almost more worth taking a chance on finding a guy that you only had. I mean that would be like stealing from the NFL if you find a quarterback in the second round.
Yeah,
see the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, just hit it and be ready to move on if you don't. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Like I just don't want them to see. And look, that's the thing about picking at 40. Like I don't think you should get sunk into that if it's a wrong guy. But like
you can move on from that.
Yeah, at this point, I just want to talk about how it can work, and that's how we're gonna do it. Like it is so interesting to me. Like I don't care who the prospect is. It is just so interesting to me, like where they are right now. It's like I got excited thinking about it. Like wow, they're gonna build an offense around the guy. Like this is start from scratch. See how the whole process goes. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
in Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Shough. That's 504-326-6526. Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trusted team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. Welcome back to NewOrleans.Football, presented by PJ's Coffee. Our next topic is brought to you by Aaron Rose. Kind of felt like the Saints took a little bit more of a long-term view to this draft. There weren't a lot of picks of guys that you said there's a hole here, and they immediately prioritized them, went out and filled it. I mean, Banks can play right away. Shough can play right away. Devin Neal can probably play right away, but it maybe Broughton gets some snaps right away. But I don't think that there was anyone in there where it's like, okay, they have to get the wide receiver, and they went and got it. I would have really liked to see the wide receiver, especially with early draft capital. But I also kind of like the idea of them it really felt like they were like, okay, this is the best guy, and we're going to take him when we have a million holes, maybe not immediately right now, but over the next 2-3 years, all this stuff has to be rebuilt. Let's just get the best players. It really felt like that was kind of the approach to the draft, and I'm not mad at it.
No, I mean, I think that's definitely true. You could almost say that about left tackle too. Obviously, he'll start because they picked him with the 9th overall pick. But that was more of a we'd like to get one, not a we have an immediate hole, and this makes our starting lineup better for week 1. Then you would have probably taken a corner and a receiver with your first 2 picks, and even the quarterback pick. This isn't all about who only helps this year's team. Yeah, I mean, it made me a little torn early on. Like when they took a defensive tackle and a safety, I was kind of like, aren't those the 2 positions they already addressed in free agency? It's like, all right, now they got a lot of defensive tackles and they got a lot of safeties. But, I mean, it's the whole thing. They used all 9 picks. It's the first time since 2012 they didn't trade up. And that was the year Sean Payton was suspended and not there, and they only had 5 picks because they didn't have a first or second rounder. Before that, you go all the way back to 2006 when they didn't trade up. Using all their picks. I mean, they did something like this in 2015 too. Very similar, a little bit 2017 too, back when they were rebuilding mode. I don't think it's a coincidence. I mean, they were refurbishing the roster with as many of their highest ranked players.
I like that word.
as possible.
Yeah, and there is a piece of me that hates that they absolutely did not get like the offensive player. I think they could probably still go get one in free agency. I still think it's a very obvious need. And especially if you're playing with a rookie QB, getting someone, a vet, just on a 1-year deal, it feels like almost like a must. And I don't know that you want to be prioritizing. This is going to sound crazy, but I mean, where I'm at with them, I want them to be prioritizing development and creating a successful atmosphere for their young quarterback. And honestly, they got to block better. I mean, that's one. B, I think too much last year. And this is where I feel bad for Rattler if he doesn't get this chance. And I don't think he will. Like, he might get a chance to play, but they're going to be incentivized to really move on. I really feel like there was too much of Clint Kubiak calling what he was going to call and saying make it work instead of really dialing in for the young player. And I think Shough's going to get more of that than Rattler did last year. And I think that was a big problem for him. But I think they need to build an atmosphere and a roster around him that is conducive to his success and development and all that. But I also want him to do it in a way that, and I don't know how you do this because both these things are the same thing, so you can't do one and not the other. But I would love to see him do it in a way that doesn't necessarily prioritize winning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I want them to get the big body receiver to help him.
Hold on. Do you?
But I just don't want it to mean. I just don't want it to mean that they win 7 games instead of 4.
Okay.
I want them to win 4 games. Okay. But have I want them to just feel like they got Drake May at the end of the season.
You can't do that as a strategy, though. I hear what you're saying, and I know a lot of our viewers and listeners feel the exact same way, that it would be great to feel like they made a ton of progress and that their arrow's pointing up and they still have the second pick.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But yeah, what I will say more practically, this similar version of that, which is what I thought you meant at first, is I don't want them to try to win more games at the expense of any resources. Like I don't even know if I want them to go sign Keenan Allen.
But that's what I'm saying. If you go out and get Keenan Allen, you're probably going to accidentally win a game or two.
I don't care.
I think Shough needs that. Like I think he needs that type of player around to build his confidence, to help him learn the NFL, to get better. That to see what the standards are. Hey, I've been around all these guys. Like, I've played with all these guys. These are the standards on timing and how you talk to people. Like, he could take them aside and give them a lot of game, but I just don't want them to win games because of it.
Well, of course, I understand what you're saying. But look, once they're out there on the field, I will probably would be more interested in seeing, certainly any fan should root for. I mean, like having C.J. Stroud's rookie season. Like, oh, shoot, you guys won 9 and you went to the playoffs?
Well, that's
unbelievable.
Great.
That's better. Great. That's better than having the second pick in the draft. So once they put the team together, winning 9 would still be an awesome jumpstart. But I get it.
You know what's even better than that? Feeling like you got Drake May and then not winning that one game and getting the number 1 pick.
I think you'd rather be going into year 2 of Stroud than year 2 of May now.
Yeah, you're fair. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I just don't. I guess I don't see the playoff.
Yeah,
but
I don't see it. I don't see it. But
maybe it doesn't.
The part I wholeheartedly agree on is I'm very proud of this team for not trading up to get Abdul Carter, thinking, oh, now we'll go to the playoffs this year. I'm very proud that they didn't go out in free agency and spend, trade or spend big money. I mean, if they do add Keenan Allen, he's going to be cheap. What's he going to cost? $5 million at this point? I'm okay with that. But, if they had been the team to spend $22 million on Devontae Adams or something, I would have been like, ugh. Like, I like that this team has not mortgaged its future in any way. Now, go ahead and try to exceed expectations and win, but they have not done it at the expense of resources, which is absolutely a positive. And the second positive to that might be, all right, maybe you'll have another top 10 draft pick next year, and that will also help. Maybe a top 5 draft pick next year, that will also help the rebuilding process.
Yeah, and that brings us to our next topic, presented by Rouse's. What needs to remain for the Saints? And Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Make sure you go check them out. Pick up their magazine. I got a little column in there about the Saints. You can check it out.
Real quick, we're hours away by the time a lot of people see this, unless you're a member. Anybody you add now doesn't affect the comp pick formula. Monday at 4 p.m., I think. So if they do add someone like Keenan Allen, I think were they projecting a 4th round draft pick? As a comp for Paulson Adebo. So an extra 4th next year is projected as of now, and they can't mess with that anymore if they add guys after 4 p.m. today. I mean, that's my first thought, especially if Tyler Shough is going to be the quarterback. I don't know why they didn't sign Keenan Allen sooner, and the fact that they signed Brandon Cooks makes me think they preferred Brandon Cooks over Keenan Allen. But I do wonder, Mickey Loomis was pretty open about the fact that that's a position they sort of planned and expected to hit, and the draft board just never lined up for them. So maybe they didn't add the big receiver because they thought they might draft the big receiver. So maybe that priority changes. They obviously didn't get a tight end until round 7 either. We've been saying all off season they need one more big pass catcher, either work in the slot or in the middle of the field or being a big possession receiver.
I think a corner too. I think a corner's on the table too. I was of the understanding that they felt that big body receiver and corner were things they were going to be able to address in the draft, and they just couldn't.
But I don't know what you do at corner now. I mean,
Asante?
Do you they did get Riley in on day 3 and Isaac Yadam or whatever. I mean, are they adding somebody that's a cornerback number 1, or are they adding somebody that's just competing for cornerback 3 with those guys at this point? That's what I wonder.
I would bring someone in. I mean, I don't know that a 4th round pick is the answer. I don't know that last year's 2nd round pick is the answer. I don't know that Ike Yadam's the answer. I don't know that Alante Taylor is the answer. I don't know that they have an answer at that position. You could just roll with what you got, and again, it just really depends on what your priorities are. If you're willing to gamble with it and let whatever happens, prioritize development over wins, then you just stick with what you got. And I understand that. I can live with that, and it makes sense. But if you're trying to, do something else, it would make sense to bring them in.
There's some talent out there at corner too, some real talent. Rasul Douglas. I don't know the health status with every, when you see names like James Bradbury and Stephon Gilmore and stuff, and Kendall Fuller, I don't know how many of those guys are healthy and ready to go, but I'm pretty sure Rasul Douglas is. And I mean, obviously teams must be concerned about Asante Samuel, because I'm still surprised he's out there.
All right, that's going to do it for this block. We will be right back with the question of the day. You ever take a bite of something and immediately think, yeah, I'm coming back for this? Bobby Heber's Cajun Cannon Restaurant just added some new dishes, and man, they crushed it. The shrimp and crawfish pistolettes, golden and stuffed with bold Cajun flavor. Fried oyster tacos, crispy, fresh with the perfect kick. And the soft shell crab Alfredo, creamy, rich, and absolutely worth the order. They're open 7 days a week, and they deliver late. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Delicious food, superior service. Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Here at the Queen Casino, indulgence knows no bounds. Prepare your taste buds for an extraordinary culinary journey. Start your day at Capital Coffee. Craving something different? 3 Walks Noodle Bar offers a tantalizing selection of Asian delights. At 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails, savor American cuisine with a twist. Or ascend to the loft for an elevated experience. Enjoy artesian grazing boards and exquisite craft cocktails. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back. It is now time for the question of the day, presented by Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant and Bar. Make sure you check them out up here on Vets, right down the street from us. Question today is, we were asked to predict the Saints' offensive depth chart for week 1 of the NFL season. Let's start at quarterback. You go first. I'll go first. Shough.
Shough
number 1.
Shough, I've got Shough, but I don't have him at like 80% or higher right now.
I think I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Week 1's tricky. Like maybe it's a week 3 thing, but I have Shough at 80% or higher odds to start 80% of the games this year, I think. And
the Derek Carr factor is, I don't know what it is. I need to know. I need to know.
I can't imagine he's back in here. I would be, and this is just my opinion, I would be flabbergasted if he's playing for the Saints this year. I would be flabbergasted by it. I would have trouble understanding why you would allow that to happen. You're trying to build a new culture. Yeah. You can't let that guy. You just got a rookie QB. This is the example you're going to give him. I can't imagine like Derek is going to be like, I don't think he's a bad guy and I don't think he'd be mean to him or anything, but man, like that guy with his handpicked replacement in the same room, I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't find it to be a good idea.
The words coming out of him and his brother's mouth is he wants to rehab this and play. And like,
probably for another team. I bet his rehab goes really good once he's a Giant.
Yeah, fair.
Well,
the other big part of
but
this question is obviously, give me your offensive line, left to right.
Left to right.
Banks left tackle. I think so. You're hesitating.
I'm going to do something different.
All right.
This is my April 28th.
The chalk guess is Banks at left tackle. Fuaga moves to right tackle. McCoy, Ruiz. And I will go Dylan Radin's left guard. I think maybe they will turn Trevor Penning into a Landon Young and be like, learn to play all positions. But I don't think it's an automatically anointed as left guard starting there from the beginning of the season type of thing. He's probably the sixth jumbo offensive tackle who gets tons of reps all across the line in camp, and then maybe ends up starting a bunch of games when someone gets hurt. Maybe he turns into James Hurst or whatever. But week 1 starting, I'll go Dylan Radin's left guard.
I'll tell you what I think it's going to be, just based on Saints.
Sure.
I'll tell you what I think it should be in year 1, and then I'll tell you what I think it should be in year 2. I think left or right, Fuaga, Radins, McCoy, Ruiz, Banks.
That's what you think it'll be?
I think that's what it'll be.
Okay.
I think what it should be, and I'm going to be a slight hypocrite here, but I'm just talking about 1 year. This is not the long-term plan. It's just the plan for this year is what I would do just to get them all on the field because I'm trying to protect my quarterback who struggles with pressure at times. And I want to give him a strength. I would go Fuaga, Banks
left guard,
McCoy, Ruiz, and Penning right tackle. And then
a
year from now, I do that. And then a year from now, and I say, okay, Penning, go find something else. I put Fuaga back at right, Banks at left, and then filling around him after that.
I think that's way more realistic than your prediction. I don't see why you mess around putting Banks at right tackle. Like, I think
people thought my Shough prediction was wild too.
But
sometimes predictions aren't predictions.
I think right, fair. But I think Banks at left guard makes a ton of sense too. Like if you don't want to move Fuaga, I mean the main thing is Fuaga has played right tackle his whole life. But if you don't want to move Fuaga, then I have no problem putting Banks at left guard. We talked about that before. Like I think you can help a team at left guard. I don't know why you need to move Banks to right tackle where he's never played. Like I think left tackle and left guard feel like the only.
If you feel like you've anchored a guy at that spot and you want to just keep building on it, and you already put a year into it and you believe it, and then this other guy that hasn't quite set anywhere yet, and you can put him in one spot and go. I mean, look, I think that there's a lot of thoughts on what it's going to be. Like, I don't think they know yet. I think you kind of got to get out there.
Well,
and play
we're going to find out in 2 weeks what they do on the first practice of OTAs. What do you think it'll look like first practice OTAs? Banks at right tackle?
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably our first. Well, it depends what day we're out there.
Yeah.
Are we out there on day 1 or day 3?
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when they install, don't you think they'll keep him somewhere? It'd be interesting.
It could be, let's take a look at all these guys, but nobody's really blocking or anything either. But yeah, it could be, let's try this alignment out today. We might see the same alignment every day, and that might just be the day that's
true.
the one of the 3 alignments. If we're out there day 2 every week, it might be A day, B day, C day, and we might just see all the B days. But I think they're going to try a bunch of different stuff out, but I think there is a prominent thought process that, like, well, he had a good season there, so, like, let's just leave him alone, and maybe that's what it is.
I feel like I would just put Banks at left.
That's what I would
say. I would just put Banks at left. If you don't want to move Fuaga, I'd put Banks at left guard.
My long-term vision would be, for this year, I would play Banks at guard. I would. I would just, to get them all out there. You already have Penning. Like, unless Radens is way better than Penning, whatever the 5 are, but if Penning's involved in the 5, I feel like he has a spot where he can play, and it's maybe fine. But my long-term vision, I drafted a right tackle and a left tackle. I'm going to play him a left tackle and right tackle. But, like, I just think that there's a possibility that it plays out a different way. But I think they're going to try everything out. I think they should try everything out.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever it is, do it. But, yeah.
Quick question. Any receiver, Taysom Hill, is he in the starting lineup? And any receiver that's not currently on the team in the starting lineup?
Good question. It felt like Mickey's answer on Taysom was, like, really bleak.
I know.
Wasn't it?
I mean, the last time we heard good information on it, Taysom didn't want to retire. But, I mean, I think they are, like, completely, like, let's see what kind of shape you're in August before we make any decisions is kind of what it feels like right now. And feels like there's a question mark on the end of that.
I would agree with that. That's going to do it for today's show. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.